Hello and welcome to May the Review Be With You with Nick and Joe. I'm Joe.
I'm Nick.
And today we are reviewing Star Wars The Acolyte, the first two episodes of Disney and Star Wars' newest show. And we've got our thoughts, we've got our critiques, we've got our reviews. And hopefully they will be with you. Nick, before we jump into that, how are you doing, man?
Doing well.
Yeah?
I have a lot of thoughts on these first two episodes of The Acolyte. Not all of them good. I'm excited to talk to you about them. It feels like either people really agree with the Rotten Tomatoes score or really agree with the audience score.
I'm curious. I haven't actually seen that myself. What is the Rotten Tomatoes score right now?
I think it was in the mid-80s the last time I checked.
Oh wow, that's higher than I would have guessed.
But
oh boy, what is the audience score?
It was in the 30s the last time I saw it. So
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
It does, but then there's also like a ton of media coverage that's saying it's just like Redditors basically like review bombing it to bring it lower. But like, I don't think it was a 30. I don't think it's that bad. But like,
yeah, I don't think it's a
not
failure.
80%. It's not like it shouldn't be up there in my opinion.
It's not a
so
success,
far.
nor is it a failure.
So far, I think people are judging it way too early, both ways. But I don't love the beginning. I don't love how I feel so far watching these first two episodes.
I agree with you there, Nick. I think if I were to borrow some lingo from the kids, I would say it's pretty mid. Like I just not feeling it yet. I will say like there are elements of this show that I think are intriguing. But yeah, it has not grabbed me. I think the same way that other Star Wars shows have grabbed me, like, you know, the premiere of The Mandalorian, right? Like that, if we're comparing pilot to pilot, like it's night and day. Like there's nothing about the first episode of the pilot of The Acolyte that really like stood out to me in particular.
Yeah, I agree with that. Ashoka was like really enjoyable right off the bat too, I remember. Yeah, this one just didn't have the Star Wars wow factor from the beginning. Like I wasn't
the Jedi je ne sais quoi.
Part of the problem, because it opens with Trinity, the actress who plays Trinity in The Matrix, and she's playing a Jedi, but for the first 5 minutes of the fight sequence, she doesn't even have a lightsaber out, and she's just doing moves that she learned from doing the Matrix movie. And I'm just like, is this Jedi or the Matrix? Like, what is this? And that's how it starts, and that just threw me off the whole time. I was just like, what am I watching? Like, I feel like I'm watching the Matrix.
Okay.
So 5 minutes.
So,
just like,
so I actually had the opposite reaction to this. I got so excited when Carrie-Anne Moss was on screen because I didn't know she was going to be in this. And immediately I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. Carrie-Anne Moss should absolutely be a Jedi. This is great. And like they start doing like wire work fighting with her, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, because she has all that experience. Like, this is so awesome. And you know, she's kicking ass and she's doing all this stuff. And then she died, and then I was like, okay, I no longer care. I'm out. I was so into it for like the first 3 minutes, and then they kill Carrie-Anne Moss, and was like, yeah, no, not for me.
That's hilarious. Basically, we had different reactions at the beginning, but after that first sequence, we were both
at the same place.
We're
in the same place.
Yeah, that's good job, Disney. Way to go.
Here's my issue with this, right? Okay, because I feel really deceived because so. Again, I didn't know Carrie-Anne Moss was going to be in this. She's in the first scene, and she's in the promo art for the show. She's in I think the right corner of the poster for the show, right? So I'm like, oh, so cool! Like, this is going to be awesome.
They promoted her pretty hard, and she gone. And she
gone. She didn't last 5 minutes. She gone.
Yeah, but you know, listen. But if you're a Jedi, you're never really gone. So
it's like Dragon Ball Z. Like, just death means nothing. Unless you're on Alderaan, like it really means nothing.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. It's never too soon for an R.I.P. Alderaan. Okay.
Right.
So let's get into episodes 1 and 2. Episode 1. as you pointed out, we were introduced to May, this dark force wielder who is going on this quest to murder Jedi. And unfortunately, that includes Carrie-Anne Moss's character, whose name is escaping me at this current point in time. But it doesn't matter, because she's gone, as we've already pointed out. Indara, that's right. Master Indara, that's right. And we are later introduced to a character who looks suspiciously similar to May, Osha, and this mystery about what happened to them when they were children involving this fire, and 4 Jedi who supposedly saved Osha, but not May. And the sisters have been separated ever since. Osha's having a falling out with the Jedi. After Inara's death, Osha is blamed for the murder of Inara and Indara. Thank you. I'm going to keep messing that one up. Indara, and that's how we kind of meet our other characters. We get to meet Sol. We get to meet his Padawan. We get to meet Yord, a Jedi Temple guardian, and they go on a quest to go find Osha. They get Osha, and that leads us into episode 2, right? One other thing. May. We get to see that May has a master that she is serving at the very end there. Nick, overall thoughts on episode 1? What did you like about episode 1?
I think that the hunting Jedi premise is really cool. It reminds me of Thor: Love and Thunder, where Gore is hunting gods. Right? No, what the hell is his name?
Yeah, wait. Gore.
Is it Gore? Gore the God Butcher.
Yes,
yeah.
Gore the God Butcher. Yeah. No, you got it. You threw me off for a second.
I forgot how weird that is. Like, it's so close to Thor. I was like, wait. Anyway, kind of like similar, right? But I don't think we've ever seen that before in Star Wars, so I think it was kind of a cool premise. I didn't love the fact that it's a twin sister, and it was obvious that's what they were doing pretty quickly, but they didn't tell us about it. We didn't officially find out about it until episode 2, I think, which, I mean, I guess it's really quick into the series, obviously, because there's 8 episodes, but I don't know, it feels like a plot point that's kind of lazy, because there's so many questions, like how do 4 Jedi who are supposed to be very powerful not know that her sister lived? Like, how does that just not be, how does nobody find that out until now? So it just feels it feels lazy to me. It just feels lazy.
I also hated this almost as soon as it was introduced, but I mean, I guess it is because it's lazy, but that's not why I initially disliked it. To me, I disliked it. I think we probably disliked it for the same reason, but we're using different terms here. It felt way too familiar for me. Like, we've already done the twin thing before with Star Wars, with Luke and Leia, right?
Yep.
And so, immediately, when there's one character who looks like the other, you're like, okay, it's a twin. Immediately. Right? And okay. However, at the end of episode 1, I had my hopes, but I think episode 2 may have dashed these hopes. So there is, mystery about what exactly is going on with May, right? And how she survived or whatever. My thought at the end of episode 1 was, oh, maybe they're playing a trick on us, like the audience, right? Like, maybe because we are so familiar with Star Wars, they want us to think that it's a twin thing, right?
Yeah.
So my mind was like, oh, maybe it's a clone thing. But I dashed that pretty fast. The second place that I went to, and I was so hopeful that this is what it actually was. And it's probably not anymore, which I'm really sad about. I was hoping that this was some kind of dark manifestation of Osha's powers.
So glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that. Yep.
Because it didn't
they
feel
kind of
like something felt off, right? Something feels super off.
Yeah, they did hint at that slightly. Whether they meant to or not, I did get that vibe in episode 1, and I was like, oh, is it like a split personality kind of situation in a way? And it's truly 2 people in one body in some form because of the dark side being there. Because that would have been kind of cool. I think it's really tough to pull it off, right?
Yeah.
But it would be interesting.
Like a primal fear, but Star Wars, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. But they shot that down in episode 2, obviously, when they come face to face, we're in the same. They're looking at each other basically. So that was next, but they kind of dropped that in there for a minute. The clone thing is interesting that you mentioned, because I guess technically it could be a clone, but that doesn't seem likely.
Doesn't seem likely.
It doesn't seem
possible
likely.
given Star Wars, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't seem very likely at all. But yeah, but because of that, it's kind of just like, it just feels lazy. We don't need that. They don't need to be related.
It is actually a twin thing, right?
Right.
If it is, which at this point it feels like the easy answer is the answer.
Right.
I don't know. I'm still holding on hope for it, that because there's still something not quite right, specifically about Osha, right? There's that. There are two things about her that I think that are suspicious. The first being, there appears to be a discrepancy about her leaving the Jedi Order, because when she is being interrogated, there is a fact that is let out that Osha debates, right? And that it's Indara? Indara. No, wait. Are we... Crap, Nick. We're never going to get this right. Is it Indara or is it Inshara?
Indara with a D.
Damn it. I'm an idiot.
Carrie-Anne Moss.
Yeah, Carrie-Anne Moss. Yeah,
Indara.
Why do I want to say Inshara so much? I don't know. Indara. So we are told that Indara strongly recommended that Osha leave the Jedi, right? But Osha says, no, it was my choice to leave, right? So there's some kind of weird discrepancy there. And then at the end of that first episode, she has this weird vision of May, who is talking to her, right? But that's a discrepancy, given it's like child May, right? Who's talking to her, and then she has black demon eyes. Yeah. But then at the end of episode 2, May, at first I thought, okay, this is a Force dyad thing that we learned from Rey and Kylo, right?
Right.
But it's not. Because at the end of episode 2, May doesn't know that Osha's alive, and she's surprised when she actually sees her for the first time, right? So something weird's going on with Osha. That's the only thing I think is interesting so far.
Something weird, but it's not just Osha. It's just the whole first 2 episodes. It just felt off. And I can't even tell you what it is. Maybe it's the acting all around. Maybe it's just the writing. Something just feels off. But I'm not sure if it's supposed to feel off or not, because it's only the first 2 episodes, right? There's a lot of speculation online about different characters and things like that. So maybe we might have met the masked, I don't know if it's a Sith Lord in particular. We don't really know that yet either, right? But May's master, essentially, right? There's some speculation that we've met them now, and they're just really good at hiding their identity and being one person and also being the master, right? Because they're masked. So, and if that's the case, then maybe there's a reason these first couple episodes felt a little off, because there's a character or two who are playing a certain side when really behind the scenes they're maybe the dark side, or vice versa. So it'll be very interesting to see what unfolds here in the next 6 episodes. But
I think you might be onto something there. So as far as the direction of this show, Leslie Headland is the showrunner. Previously known for her work on Russian Dolls, which is not something that I have seen, but it is something that I've been told is pretty good, and feels like something that you and I should actually probably watch, considering it's about a time loop. Yeah, right. That feels that's up our alley, right? We really should. Yeah, I'm gonna. We really should knock that one out. But anyway,
it's a creepy name, but yeah.
Yeah, it's about a girl who wakes up at a party and she keeps dying, and she keeps waking up at the party. Yeah. I believe that's correct. If I am wrong, please castrate me through the streets.
That's pretty extreme. It's a pretty extreme reaction.
It's
for
the
just being wrong.
internet. No one does anything that isn't extreme. There's no dialing it back on the internet.
That's true.
Anywho, but from what I gathered around that show, there is a lot of mystery, right? A bit of paranoia, and I think that's why this showrunner is on this show, because I think they want to try and capture that same kind of atmosphere.
Okay.
But piggybacking off of what you said, I can't tell if I'm confused because that's the atmosphere that they're purposely going for, or is it just not written very well?
It's just not good, right? Or is it just not good? We're not sure if it's... Basically, we don't know if this show sucks or if it's meant to be
or brilliant
right now.
Maybe it's brilliant,
Maybe
right?
it
Like
is.
maybe we get to the end and we're like, this is the greatest Star Wars thing that's ever existed.
Right.
Right now, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
But
I also, a lot of the people they've cast as Jedi just did not have a Jedi vibe.
oh, you don't think Soul
Immediately.
has a Jedi vibe? I feel like Soul's got a Jedi vibe.
Soul kind of has a Jedi vibe, but like Yord Fandar and the other girl, Vernestra, the one that's like
Jackie.
Jgreen,
Jackie, right? Jackie
and
Long.
then Jackie, which is Jackie
Yeah.
is the apprentice of Soul
Yeah.
of Padawan. Yeah, she's doesn't have like she's a Padawan, so she has a Padawan vibe, which is great. It's really more about the other Jedi, not the two, not Soul and his Padawan. It's more about the other ones. They didn't really have like, just didn't do it for me. Yeah, I don't know. Something
Vernestra,
weird, man.
right? Vernestra Raw.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rowo. I don't know. Vernestra.
Say it 5 times fast.
Vernestra Row. Nope, can't even do it once. Yeah, no, she feels off to me too. And I again, it's one of those things where like, you remember in episode 2 where Hayden Christensen takes on the role of being Anakin, and he does his whole thing of like, I hate sand, and like the internet's never forgiven him. Like the internet just like took that and ran with it for years.
Yeah.
And like Hayden Christensen's not a bad actor, but like he's told to like, hey, you gotta like deliver it flat because like Jedi like don't have emotions. I can't tell if it's like one of those things where like you don't have emotions but also act. It's like, what? Okay.
Yeah. That's a tough thing to nail. Like,
Yeah.
and Lee Yong Ye, I think is how you say it.
Oh, the
said
Soul
that,
guy? Yeah.
Yeah, he took inspiration from Liam Neeson, I believe. Which I can see that
I can
in
see
his
that.
role.
He feels Qui-Gon-ish.
But Liam Neeson is like, he's one of the only people who can pull off acting like he has no feelings while still acting.
Liam Neeson, though.
Oh, man. Anyway, the other thing that was kind of cool in episode 2 was the meditation shield. That was pretty sweet.
That was awesome.
That was cool. That character, though, we don't really get to know much about. Seems weird, too. Like,
Yeah, Torben.
Torben.
Yeah. Which, yeah, like, he seemed really cool, really powerful, and he decides, yeah, like, I'm out. Like, I'm axing myself here.
it's just like, I mean, what happened in the past? Like, that's that bad that you've been meditating for 30 years, you haven't spoken a word, and then you decided to just kill yourself finally out of nowhere, like, waiting for May? I mean, this is like, it's so strange. Like,
Right.
it's so
There's
strange.
There's a lot of mystery still built up around like whatever that event is, right?
Yeah.
But like the thing is, like I don't care. I don't know why. Like there's so much mystery about what exactly happened, but
Yeah.
like, I just don't
This
care
is a
what
great
the
point.
flashback is.
This is a great point, and you make this point a lot in our movie reviews too about building stakes, right? Like, they haven't really built stakes in yet with anything.
No.
They haven't explained anything either. So, literally at the end of episode 2, it's just like, I don't really care what's happening right now because I have no reason to care about anything that's going on. It's so strange that there's no
Yeah.
stakes built yet, right? Like, there's nothing. What? Oh, someone's hunting Jedi, and now we know we know which 4 too. Like, that's not even stakes. We know which ones she's hunting. So
Right. I think we can presume that like at least 3 of them are going to die, if not all 4. You know, like
yeah, like
all right.
it's so
We have no
there's
attachment to any of them.
Yeah, I don't know. They haven't really done a good job of making me want to care about what happens next in these first 2 episodes. It's kind of like, what was the point of releasing 2 episodes? like they haven't set anything real up. I mean, they have.
You know what?
They haven't.
You know what? I'm glad you actually just said all that, because I think I know what would have made me personally care more. You remember what we were saying at the beginning about Carrie-Anne Moss with Indara, right? Got it. And how she dies in the first 5 minutes. It would have been really cool to have spent some time with that character, right? And like, especially since she's on the promo of everything, right? Like, and this is like a pretty big actress. At least she has like a legacied career, right? And like, you know, the whole episode, like we're hanging out with her, right? And like maybe she's on like a mission or with, I don't know, something. Somehow we come across Osha, right, in passing, right? And at the end, we meet someone who looks sort of like Osha, right? And then kills Indara at the end of the episode, right? Like, what a great end. I'd be like, holy crap! Like, didn't see that coming.
Right.
But yeah, like
that
you
would
said,
have been like a way better opener. You should have been writing this show.
but right, like there's no attachment to this character, so like you're kind of turned off immediately. You're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah. We're just in a wait and see. I mean, it makes sense because it is a TV show. There's 6 more episodes, but they just did not do a good job in these first 2 of getting really any points across. I do want to say that my favorite character probably so far is Quaimir. I think I'm saying that right, which is the guy who makes the poison for her.
Yes.
For May.
Yes.
Manny
Jacinto.
Yeah. Who, of course, when he first popped up on screen, I was like, man, he looks awfully familiar. And then it was what I thought. Jason from The Good Place.
Jackson Boo! BORTLES!
But thankfully they changed his hair a little bit, and I think he had a beard too, maybe slightly. He looks different enough to where it didn't bother me right away. It was one of those sometimes like when you have a character that plays somebody for so long and does such a unique good job, it can ruin it for you later, right? Almost like Trinity, like Carrie-Anne Moss at the beginning of the episode 1, because Trinity's such an iconic character and she played there for so long that's all I thought about for the beginning. Kind of ruined it for me at the beginning. Opposite for you, obviously, but
I just got excited.
When Manny showed up on screen, I wasn't. He looked different enough to where I wasn't quite sure if it was him yet, and his character was was really cool. So I didn't think about it too much right off the bat. So I didn't feel like it was weird, but I like his character so far. I think there's more than meets the eye for him.
Yes,
so
I agree. He is the most interesting character we've met so far, because he's so different depending on which character he is playing off of, right? When he's with May, he seems to be very in control, right? Mm-hmm. He knows a lot about the situation. But then when he's talking to Soul, he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." He's a little cowardly, a little weak. He's like, "Here's the information you want," Right. It seems like he knows how to play the dynamic with whoever he's with, right?
Right.
No, I'm very interested in him too. Also, I think Manny's performance in general is just the most fun, right?
Yeah.
He's just so creepy, what's he doing?
For sure.
Let's take a quick commercial break here and have a word from our sponsors. And we're back. We are talking about episodes 1 and 2 of The Acolyte. We just got done talking about some of the things that we weren't super into. I do want to bookend possibly this conversation with something that I wasn't super into, and it is the thing that makes me not have faith in the writing of this show. I want to be wrong. I don't want to be overtly negative about this show, right? I want this show to succeed in the end. I want to be entertained. But there are 2 things, it's really the same thing, but it happened twice, that does not give me a lot of faith. And it's the ending of both episodes. Both episodes just weirdly end in abrupt places that don't feel like real endings to me. The same exact way, right? The first episode ends with the revelation that May has a master that she's serving. And then episode 2 ends with this Wookiee Jedi that we had heard about, and we get to see the Wookiee Jedi, right? But like neither really delivers a punch, right? It's just like, here are these two characters, end, right?
Yeah.
The first one in particular, I found a little funny, but not like, it's not obviously supposed to be funny.
Right.
It's, he's talking to, May, this mysterious masked man, because it's Star Wars. There's always a masked man, and he says something along the lines of like, you have to kill 3 more Jedi and 1 without a weapon, and then he immediately whips out his weapon, which I was like, well, that's petty.
Yeah.
There's just like a really weird disconnected comment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then hard cut to the ending, to the credits, right? I just...
Yeah.
It ended, and I was like, what? That's it? Okay.
Yeah. It's like... again, it keeps bringing up weird questions, like... And not in like a fun, mysterious way. More in like a why way, And that's so annoying. So, yeah, I think it's very tough to judge. Like, if I wasn't such a big Star Wars fan and I didn't already watch the first 2 episodes, I could honestly see myself being like, you know what, I don't really care. Like, it has not hooked me. Like, I actually don't care. I'm going to watch the 3rd episode because I want to be wrong about this TV series because they did such a good job with promo that I was like, this looks like it's going to be awesome. And the first 2 episodes did not hit for me. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah.
I want to do 2 more things before we go. The first thing, obviously, we're both feeling a little mid on this show. What would you say is the most promising thing you've seen about the show so far?
So, this is something Star Wars always does really well, and it's the world building. And Star Wars is awesome at this. They're awesome at just introducing us to a new planet that we've never been to before because the galaxy is infinite. And then just crushing the artwork and the set design, and like we're immediately pulled into whatever planet we're supposed to be on, right? Like I have never been not sold on like, oh, this is the environment we're in. This looks awesome. They've done a great job, and I think they've done a fantastic job with the Acolyte so far, right? I think we've seen 3 or 4 different worlds or planets in those first 2 episodes. It was kind of a lot, it felt like, in the first 2 episodes, but that was awesome. So I'm looking forward to exploring more of the Star Wars universe, essentially, and some of these other planets and town and cities or whatever you want to call it, because I'm sure there's going to be a few more that we haven't that we're going to see here during this series. So that I'm excited for that.
That's actually a really good call. I think earlier I was comparing the show to The Mandalorian, and I think the show looks better than The Mandalorian so far for exactly the reasons that you stated. Just to like piggyback off of that, something that the Mandalorian relied on a lot was a visual technique known as the volume, which is like a spherical green screen. It's not a green screen. It's a spherical it's a spherical environment, right, in which they are playing video of whatever background that they want, right? So if they want, Mando walking through like Tatooine, for example, they'll have dunes and sands like all around him, right? And it can be really effective. I think at times like it's pretty obvious that they're using it. It doesn't look as good as just setting up an actual scene. Like we see in the movies, and like we see here on this show. It's very obvious that they are not using the volume, and I like it. The whole restaurant in the beginning, the bar, right, like looked great. Yeah. Even though I was talking smack about the Wookiee at the end of episode 2, that jungle looked awesome.
Looked very awesome, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I agree with you there. I think that's going to be cool, exploring that further. Something that I think is promising so far, the fighting. I think the choreography. So it is crazy to me that we have gotten this far in Star Wars media, and there hasn't been wire work before. So the fact that like we're using it now for like Indara and May is super cool. And I think that's really promising for the vision of where the choreography is going down the road. So hopefully some like really sweet fights coming up later in this show.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anything else in regard for you?
No, I didn't have any other notes to touch on. I think I covered everything. What about you?
I don't get Pip. I don't get Pip the droid. I don't get it. Is he a droid? Is he a tool? Is he? I don't get it. I'm not sure.
He's just a really advanced version of the iPhone.
It's an iPhone with too much personality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I see that. All right, more from Pip on the way. We will definitely be covering the rest of the Acolyte in the future, but we got a couple more shows that are on our radar. Nick, what are you looking forward to most for as far as TV shows this summer?
Oh, this is so tough. I just finished rewatching House of the Dragon. Season 1, Season 2 is coming out very soon. We're going to be reviewing some of those episodes, of course. And then Joe has been yelling at me to watch The Bear for a long time, and I have now binge-watched Season 1, and I am going to be done with Season 2 very quickly, and so we're going to definitely be talking about that. That might actually be the best show on television right now, as Joe will definitely agree with. So I'm very excited. It's a very exciting summer for TV, and then our movie-wise, our sights are set on Deadpool and the Wolverine at the end of July. So that's a massive release. We're stoked for that.
Yes, I am still so sad that we are still so far away from that. Can't wait for that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to literally everything you just said, Nick. Just as far, even though like this is like mid start, I'm still very hopeful for like what the rest of the summer promises as far as TV and movie goes.
Yes.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
But until then, may the review be with you.
Peace.
Sweet. Look at that.